If I go back the other way.
Swing his butt around.
Can I move them?
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead and move it.
Want me to walk around again or?
Sure.
Oh.
That shows you right there that practice makes all the difference. That was
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking if you could redo
You
it.
may complete your pattern.
Okay. Good job. Okay, with your pattern, it was a decent pattern too. I can tell that, you know, we were just coming into this with spring. And as we all are aware, that showmanship takes lots of practice, but you're doing a good job. When you trotted off, he lifted his head up because you tightened up. And when you tightened up, he resisted. But then he decided he kind of wanted to flow with you a little more, so he probably is a little bit used to you doing that. So what you should really do with him, when you started in to go around cone A, he really picked his head up, and when he come back around, you were tightening up enough that he wanted to lug back on you. So we don't want that to happen. So what you need to do is, when you keep moving forward, stay a little more loose with him, so he relaxes and brings his head down and keeps flowing with you, okay? That's a simple thing, just takes practice, and it just takes him learning. But he responds well to you. When you come down to your transition in your mover or to your walk, that seemed like that was okay. But again, you were watching, you were trying to watch, which, like what we said earlier, lining up his hip, because as soon as you stop short, then automatically, and me not even sitting in front of you, but sitting here, and I'm sure they can see too, that when you did your 90, you were off already. So you had to reline him back up on your walk back to her because you were off on your line. That's just practice, and it's just, it's strategy in showmanship. Showmanship is strategy. So when you look at these patterns, you have to figure out, just like what we said at the beginning, show me, you love this horse, and showing to the best of your ability that he's the greatest thing that ever walked into the ring, and I've worked hard with him. So back to the strategy, so you have to plan what you're going to do, you know, okay? When he had his little bobble here, hey, happens to the best of us, even with seasoned horses. So, that worked out well, and it did show us that he can do it. He knew he shouldn't have done that, but he was gonna see just because he wanted to. You fixed it, you corrected it, you finished off good, other than this was a walk and not a trot. So again, back to the pattern. So, but overall, you know, you're doing a fine job. Fine job.
I agree with everything that she said. I feel like your halter is a little low on his nose, and I think if you raised it up, you might get rid of some of the abruptness that she was talking
probably
about.
right. Yeah.
So, it should be like 2 fingers below the, I don't know if that'll go up or not.
But even like right where his little strip is down there, maybe just to the right.
Yeah, right there.
A little bit more.
Yeah.
There you go.
Like
So
right there.
you want it
Yeah.
like two fingers below that.
There you go.
Maybe you'll stay.
And is it one that she can punch
Yeah,
holes
does it
in?
have holes?
Yeah,
Okay.
she can punch more holes.
Yeah.
Good.
Even the bottom piece, she just needs a smaller halter.
Okay, great.
It's
Yeah.
fun to go shopping for those anyway.
I'll leave you something else.
Well, no, I was gonna
I'm
say
sure
the
your
same.
mom will be impressed that I said that.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing, cause you should have like 2 or 3 of the chain links
that you wanna see on the outside, just to give you a little bit more contact, and I think that'll help you out like way better and give you some of that control that you might need with him. I liked a lot of the stuff that was going on. I think there's a lot of potential with everybody here. But like they said with the hip, like getting to line up that hip, even if you have like one of your friends and say, hey, can you take my horse? And I just want to get an idea of like the spatial orientation thing, just so I can figure out like where I want to line up my horse's hip. And you play judge and they take your horse around. I mean, we all have friends that are willing to do that, or some of us don't. I don't know. You can ask mom and dad. I don't know.
You can even use, if you've got a paddock outside.
Yeah.
My daughter, because I wouldn't take time. And so she always had to use a fence post.
Yeah. There you
But
go.
it worked.
Yeah.
It worked.
There you
And
go.
I'd say, oh, go use the fence post on that paddock.
Yeah.
And she'd go, you won't stand there? No, I can't right now. So you have to do that. Poor Kayleen, she always got shafted on this stuff. But it works. So
Yep.
anything that'll stay mobile or stay solid for you will work, because it gives you that visual.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I really appreciate you asking us if you could redo it.
Yes.
Because this is a clinic and you are here to learn, so that was great.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, that was really good.
All right,
Good
show us what
job.
you can do
Yeah.
now.
Now let's see what happens.
But during competition, they cannot ask.
No.
They just have to work with
Absolutely.
it. Okay. Just clarifying.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, let's hold on just a minute. We have a question.
Okay.
Just something that's come up with students before. If, you talk about how important it is to be aware of your horse's space and to line the hip up with the judge perfectly. Say they go a step too far or a step too short and they realize it once they've stopped. Would you rather see somebody take a step back or forward to correct it and then go on with their pattern, or just pivot and correct the best they can going forward?
My opinion, I would prefer that they just, once they did their 90.
Once you're committed.
And you start to go and you go, shoot, I'm half a foot off of her, line it up. Just walk it and
Yeah.
line it up, just keep going with the flow, but,
Yeah.
yeah, like she said, once you're committed to it, just go with it and fix it as you're going, so that you don't you don't break that pattern. Actually, if you stopped and then went to back up, if you were too far, you'd actually be breaking your pattern. So you don't wanna do that either. Showmanship is sticklers.
Yeah, I think if you can do that 90 and then kind of just like
Yeah, whip them
walk
into
it
it.
off
Yeah.
as best as you
Yeah.
can, because nobody's ever gonna line that hip up
No.
perfectly.
Right.
And nobody's horse is gonna be perfect to the hip with the judge either. And
Just make sure you correct it after
Yes.
you made your turn.
Right, yeah. So that's just gonna be another maneuver score.
Yeah.
So if you got hit a little bit on that maneuver score, it's probably not gonna, if you did everything else, really good, that's probably not gonna hurt you so bad.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just, if you realized you did it, fix it as you're going, as you keep your flow going, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, do you like where the halter is better? He responded.
He had good takeoff.
Yeah, did you
Way
feel like he
better.
responded better to you, or could you not? We can tell that he responded better.
Yeah.
You're still a little heavy on him, but I think that's just a habit you've gotten into, because that wasn't sitting on him correctly.
And like when you took off before, he would pick his head up. It was smooth. It helped him out.
It did help.
Yeah, and he also had that, I don't know if he did this on purpose, but he had that hand forward to kind of just send him forward so there was less resistance. But the takeoff on that trot was a lot
Beautiful.
nicer. I would rather have that than the resistant one.
Exactly.
You know, don't worry about all the other stuff that happened afterwards, but that trot was a lot nicer going around.
Good job.
Good boy.
Your transition coming off of Kone into your walk was really
But it
pretty.
was really pretty.
Yeah, yeah, good job, good job. Just practice.
Yeah, make sure you pet him, he did good.
We have another question.
Okay.
So the question is, we've had two different answers from different coaches, so we're curious of the true answer. If you end on the off side of your horse in your showmanship pattern, should you stay there until the judge says you may complete your pattern and then cross over to your correct side to finish your pattern? Or should you cross over before the judge says you may complete your pattern? Because we've been told both ways.
That is kind of a fine line, especially in MIHA. I have, what was that?
I don't think there's a rule though.
There isn't. It seems, as far as I know, it
Yeah.
isn't. I have noticed in the last years that, I don't even know really how to say it. The trend is right now is stay there. Stay on the offside until, and they make sure you're done and standing there, and then like what she did, you can complete your pattern and then move. In past times, I hate to date ourselves, but in past times, you wouldn't have done that. You would have, once she got back around you and stopped, you would have moved back around and finished off what you're doing. In today's time, I'm not finding that. I don't know about you guys, but it's been the last couple of years, I've seen kids get dumped, and I kind of wonder why. And it's been the kids that moved back without being told that they would complete their pattern.
It's a great question.
It's a catch-22 is what it is. How do you guys feel about
I
it?
feel like I feel the exact opposite, that I would like to see you finish, and that's what's gonna happen to you, you're gonna have
One
difference of
judge
opinion.
that likes it, one doesn't.
The thing that is most important to me is however you do it, I want it to look like smooth, and if you choose to stay where you are, I want you to acknowledge the judge so that they know that you're finished.
Yeah.
And if you move around, you acknowledge.
Acknowledge them
the-
on that side, you
Yeah.
know?
So.
So I guess it's gonna just determine
Can you
who
repeat
you're
that?
under that day.
Is it on?
I don't know.
But that has been a little catch-22 the
What
last couple years.
I was saying is, I think that the question was, if you're gonna stay on the same side or cross over. And I prefer that I feel like it's more complete if you cross over. Kim said the exact opposite of that. What I want you to do is, if you are gonna stay where you are, I want you to nod to me. And if you're gonna move around, then nod to me then. And so you got two totally different answers from the two of us. Your turn.
I'm gonna be the
You're the
deciding
doctor. Say you don't care.
So I'm gonna actually go with Kim on this one. I would rather them stop and wait until I at least acknowledge them and then complete their pattern, because then it's like they're waiting for me and then complete it, because they could get a little bit.
Put it close to your mouth.
Oh,
Sorry.
they could be going on to the next maneuver. I'm like, hold on, I'm not yet ready yet for you to move. So I think for me, I think it's just like more of a courtesy thing. I get the seamless thing. I get it being like they know
And
their
to
pattern.
acknowledge us wherever they do it.
Yeah, but I feel like if they switch over, it's a lack of confidence too, and they're like, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do, so I better just go to that side because I know I'm gonna have to do it to move to my to move on to my pattern.
It's hard. It's hard to tell you the correct thing to do. Oh. Open wide.
Open wide and say ah.
It's hard to tell you on that the correct thing to do because neither one of them are wrong.
Right.
So like I had said before, it's gonna be the luck of the draw on how you perform it that day and who you're under that day. But you really shouldn't feel if you get placed third instead of first because you moved, that you did anything wrong because you didn't.
Would this be a good question for the coaches to ask in the coaches with the judges meeting on what the judge would prefer to see in showmanship?
Yeah.
Would you be willing to say what you see?
No.
Would you be willing to say what you would want to see?
Yeah, I would
Okay.
too. I'd rather they did it how I wanted to see it
Okay.
Right.
than, like I said, than have my first place horse end up third because they did something that they thought
Was right.
was right.
And my answer, if I was asked, was whatever looks smoothest.
Right,
My answer is whatever looks smoothest.
Yes.
That would be how I would answer that.
Yeah.
You choose, show me the best you can do.
Okay, so when you're judging it then, when you would be judging it, either way would be okay with you as long as it's, see, that's fair too.
Yeah.
You know, that's a fair way to go about it as long as, like she said, they did it smooth and did it correctly.
Right.
They really shouldn't be penalized for it.
No.
I'm changing, I think
So the coaches that are here,
I've just changed my opinion. No, I'm just
so
kidding.
the coaches that are here, it might just be a good idea to ask in our coaches meeting with the judge, what they prefer to see. But I agree,
I think we should ask.
whatever is smooth, but let's remember that, Linda. Let's remember to ask that question. Okay.
Good question.
Yeah, it is.
All right, what's her name?
Chesney.
Chesney.
See why showmanship can take so long?
I didn't really expect this, but I'm learning a lot.
Yeah.
You may complete your pattern.
Hello? Oh, you can hear me. That was a very nice pattern. I liked it. Your takeoff was real good. You've got a big horse. You've got a very big horse. She's a little bit stiff in the front end. And you know that. So in a pattern like this, where you have to trot around the comb, you know, you want to keep it smooth and keep her moving forward without showing off kind of a hip or that she's a little stiff. So what I would like to see with your big horse, because she's big, she's long, she's a big girl, that use a little bit more of your space going around cone A, so she doesn't have to tighten up so much. And that's when you're gonna get into a horse that runs out of room and then she's gonna stall on you. And if she breaks on you in that turn, that's not gonna get you points at all. So, I think with a big horse like this, go ahead and use a little more of your space so that they don't have to struggle quite as much maneuvering it. The transition to walk was good, again. Again, I'm a little stickler on mine, but you did fix it. I would have liked to see her hip a little bit closer to when you did your 90, that you were a little more straight on, but you straightened her up. Your step was decent, your movement was, I thought was decent. 270 looked good, and her walkout was good. But my biggest thing on your pattern, even though it was very nice, was use that space, because she's such a big girl. Boy, girl. And don't let her, make it so it doesn't look like she's gotta really work. Keep it flowing. But it was good. You did
And
good.
that right there was a really good move,
Yes.
because she doesn't need to be walking around, and you told her, and she was like, oh, I forgot.
She goes, I thought we were gonna go in.
She does.
Where's that other little girl? That little girl. See how this halter is fitting on this horse right here when she
Yeah,
walks
this
back
is
over there?
excellent.
Take a look at that, and this is how you want it to set, okay? You got in trouble. It's your turn. Oh, jeez.
Mic drop.
Now you know, we're not very technical here. You know that.
Sorry, I was
We have clipboards.
Actually, what I saw was exactly what Kim was talking about. She just did kind of a stutter stop, not really a stop, but she hesitated, and I think if you gave her a little more space, it would be easier for her to do it. So that's same as Kim, exactly.
It was nice. It was nice.
Okay, so I liked just the whole overall feel. Like, you exuded confidence. Like, I knew that you were turning around that corner because I was watching your head and you're turning, your shoulders are turning, and just the way you, what's the word I'm looking for? Just the way you portrayed yourself to the judge. Like, this girl knows what she's doing. Like, Michaela.
It was smooth.
Yeah, smooth. Michaela did this too, and it's just like, you can tell, like, these girls they know where they're going, they know what they want to do, they have purpose with what they're doing. I like the setup. It was really nice and quick and snappy. Sometimes you get people who sit there and try and fuss with their horses setup and trying to get those feet, like, and they're sitting there, and as the judge, you're sitting waiting for them to just move their feet. If you can do it within a couple of steps, that's a bonus for me. You did have her a little camped out for me. I would have liked to see her a little bit more compact. But those are all like nitty gritty things. And of course the stiffness a little bit, but I mean, that was a nice overall pattern.
She's
Good job.
Yeah, nice job.
Oh, she's always.
She's exhausted. You did a good job. Want to try again?
Yeah, that's fine.
We do have a question, from one of the coaches on if you guys have, 2, 3, 4 excellent showmanship patterns, what is gonna be the winning factor? They're all executing well, their transitions are well, they're all showing well. What's gonna be making your top pair?
Well, I'm sorry. We score on a scoring, system. So each maneuver is a score. So it can plus or minus or just be a correct score. Pretty much on, depending what score sheet you're using, but you can, a 70 is an average, just like in a rating pattern. And pretty much nowadays, almost in a hump seat class, any equitation or horsemanship or showmanship, it's gonna go off pattern. So when it comes down to it, if for some reason, which in my case, it's not very often, but if I do have a tie, and it happens if they both ended up with a 72, I can look back at my score sheet, because it's all right there, and I have generally picked a maneuver which was gonna be my tie-breaking maneuver. So in most cases, if they both had a 72, and I picked the 360 maneuver, if the one ended up with a score of a 1 maneuver score on it, and the other one ended up with a half, then the horse that had the 1, he would be the first place horse, and then the other the second. That's how I do it. And like I said, it's very seldom that happens, but it does. have a tiebreaker in that list of maneuvers.
In the fit and effectiveness or whatever is on my score sheet, overall impression, I use a plus and minus in that spot. And if like a plus is always be a minus. So that's my overall impression of you when you walk in the ring. And that's what my deciding factor is.
So for me, I like to look at the whole picture. And a lot of times I'll look at how effective the shower, the rider, or the exhibitor is, and I'll usually base it off of like plus minus half or plus half, how well they did, and also the penalties will usually equal out on my scoring sheet. And it usually always equals out. If I see a really good 360 and there's like no hesitation, that girl is moving with purpose, I'm gonna +2 that one, or plus half. Versus somebody who may be a little bit slower, maybe is only a plus half. So there's really all sorts of different options, scoring options for me, because I use a scoring sheet as well. And it usually always ends up working
It
out.
does, it usually works out.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good question.
Showmanship. That's what I did.
Are you ready, lady?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just wanna make sure we
Get it, yeah.
you know, right discipline stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
Much better.
Yeah. Maybe we should just do one showmanship. Instead of two.
Yeah, it's almost 11.
Right.
So let's just get the right discipline
I
stuff.
think they got enough out of this.
Oh, this is,
anyway.
yeah. Huge improvements.
Yeah.
You may complete your pattern.
Good job, thank you.
Way better.